Welcome. Wow, that's different. Okay, well, let's click over to this. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing look at Hearts of Iron 4 La Resistance DLC. I hope you're all having a very good day. Well, I'm sitting here thinking, gathering my thoughts. I know you shouldn't be doing this at the beginning of a video that's supposed to be the hook to get everyone to want to stay. Okay, I'm gonna give a bit of a monologue. No, this is not a rant, but a bit of a monologue here on games in general, Hearts of Iron 4 specifically, and my views of this. And this is not to say that your views are wrong and how you want to do it, but when Hearts of Iron 4 was released, the game was, well, I'm going to say it again, a shit show. It was just god awful. So I want to say that. But I'm not here to dump on Hearts of Iron 4 or the team that made it. I do believe, I don't know, but I do believe higher ups sort of felt they needed to kick it out the door in whatever state that it was. And it should not have happened that way. And they've, in one fashion or another, have sort of admitted that. I don't know if maybe they've actually said that or something, but conditionally they've sort of agreed with that. Now, I've always sort of loved aspects of Hearts of Iron 4. One of them being this. You produce equipment, not units. Yes, you train units because that's real, but you produce, oh, clicking on the wrong thing, equipment. So you send a Panzer division out here, they go in a really bad battle. Hey, Ari. And you need to replace them. And, lost tanks. And you can replace Panzer IIIs. That's basically what that is. Or maybe later on you have them with Panzer IVs. And, you're replacing upgraded equipment or whatever. So I've always loved that. Now, this is getting to the new features of La Resistance. Just finish. We just got finished with my heist. What a mess. With my... What I missed. No, we just got started. Sorry. Trying to read. So, and then I've just, and obviously I would say overall followed developments of Hearts of Iron 4 very closely, including through the beta testing process, continuing beta testing process. And a bunch of people are complaining that, because people are always going to complain, and I know that. This is the internet. You don't have to say, of course, boomer. Yeah, I know. People are always going to complain. But I still want to defend. Is that intelligence here, and I don't know always what they're looking at, is OP, overpowered. Hello, Lum. And they're probably right. But, God damn, I don't know of another grand strategy game. Now, I don't know how much there are in intelligence games out there, spy games. There may be a lot that I'm just not aware of, or I'm not really aware of any. But I don't know of any game that has this level of sophistication when it comes to intel. And so, this is, shall we say, early day. No, trash this. I didn't mean to do that. We're going to look at this in a moment. This is still early days, and so rebalancing and whatnot, and people should be putting in their feedback on what they think with Intel. but just the functionality of this. Not that this is right or perfect or whatnot in this current stage. It's just this is what is here now and can be developed. Is really good, really cool, and I fully support this direction with the game. We can look at here stuff. I mean, just like air units. Now, I have problems with the air. Yes, that this is the bombing range of this. The bombers here in the Berlin area. Yeah, okay. That for attacking, that works mostly well, except for the teleportation, meaning you can't intercept them on the way. That's a problem. So you can't just do a massive air defense over the Low Countries and either force them to fly around or, you know, you've got to do it there, and sort of gets to the other problem with the air is air defensiveness, in that you can only defend one area at a time with air. So yeah, there are problems with this, and I'm not going to say that there isn't continuing problems. Very, very bad at start, but it's getting much better. And I always look at this as once you put in these mechanics, and no, I have not looked at all in the modding of Intel, but this, to my understanding, is rather moddable. So let's have 20 good, I'm sure there can be a lot of other junky things out there that people just do, but 20 good Intel mods that people can go in and do stuff to it. Now, what you need to do is the problems that I continue to have is like this: oppose Hitler. There was opposition to Hitler. But the idea of being able to just click some buttons and do unhistorical things. So different nations should have various built-in defenses to intelligence-based, shall we say, intel-based disruption to their activities. We can look at a nation like Czechoslovakia. It had a massive German population that from the very day that Czechoslovakia was established, created by foreign treaties, hated the idea of being part of Czechoslovakia because they had been Austrians, German-speaking Austrians, in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It did not sit well with them. And so you had this group of people that was at its core disloyal. Then you have, which we can see today, the idea that there's Czechs and Slovaks. And other than that they both may want independent status, and may have wanted so for generations, they have nothing else, to my knowledge, in common other than their geographical proximity. So the idea that you're creating Czechoslovakia means that you have a very, very, and I'll get to the, hello everyone, I'll get to your chats in a moment. You have, you know, a very vulnerable target for spies, I want to say, but just outside influences, because it can be just simply, you know, radio broadcasts in or something, you know, that are in the German language or in the Slovak language that are anti-Czech. And so you may have a very strong sense of Czech national identity that they sort of say Czechoslovakia. And that not saying is, because we can go in and examine, and I have to some degree, but for sake of argument now, may be a very strong national identity that isn't vulnerable to foreign agents and influence and spies and bribery and ideological influence. That may be the situation for them, but that's not with everybody else. Then you can jump over to a nation like Poland. Okay, Poland, yeah, it has its problems too. It has, pseudo has the Free State of Danzig up here, that is a de facto German city state. Basically, most of it, I guess sort of the Postal Service and a few of the government agencies were dominated by Poles, but you can see photos that, and they're not like hanged up, oh, they are sometimes hanged up off of street lights and things like that, but also just hanged out of people's windows. So many German flags, which are the swastika flags at this time, for events and times to show, and this is while Danzig was still a free city, in like 1938 or early 39. So Germany could have had this at a moment's notice because the population was overwhelmingly German and overwhelmingly wanting to be part of Germany. But this, the Danzig corridor, if you were to give its right sort of name here, which may be slightly smaller than this, is what Germany wants, but also has a significant, or had maybe even a German majority. Definitely by this time has a significant German minority in there. There's Hitler's Empire, really good book that looks at some of this area that had been in the German Empire at the start of World War I. So maybe parts of traditional Poland, which was not traditional Poland, was not East Prussia, but was a lot of this territory that had long been the German Empire, or reasonably long, or the Prussian kingdom, or the whatnot, but that the de-Germanification policies of Poland, both driving out the German residents and trying to repopulate cities with Polish citizens. This is, from approximately 1920 through to 1939 and the start of the war, there had been this policy of Polishification. So do not think that, whether you want to, national identity, because some of these groups, I really don't know that there are a genetic racial, because now the Nazis, of course, are always talking about race. And if you go back to the 19th century, race was just the generic term for a group of people that would be used, which we would maybe not we would not necessarily use today appropriately, because it's not necessarily a genetic establishment identity kind of thing, because like you can look at like Churchill's, which is, he's still very much even into the 20th century using 19th century terms, looking at the Anglo-Saxon race in Britain. What? Those are Anglo-Saxons, Jutes, Frisians, Celts, and other peoples that, and even that, the Celts, are they Britons, or are they Gauls, are they, it's all, so it's all what we're learning today about the genetics, and that's why I like to use that word. It is still somewhat loaded, but I don't mean it in a pejorative sense in any direction. But the genetic makeups of people, and I know that was super important to the Nazis, but the idea of national identity and viewpoint was not just a German imperialistic enterprise, shall we say, but was something that was being done in places even like France over the border changes. So Germany does have legitimate grievances. Whether, I'm not saying they're right, but they're legitimate in their concerns. Best maps you can do to look at to see some of this stuff are railway maps, and look at the development levels between, hello Brett, and spiraling. How you doing? Railway maps here in Poland to see the former Russian areas of Poland and see the former German areas and how the railways were built up differently, how they interconnected and all of that stuff. It's fascinating to look at as a physical reminder of the past. So outside of its German minority, you know, maybe somebody like a country like Poland is going to be much harder for, and the German minority is not at all in the levers of power or, you know, influence within Poland. So you're not going to be able to get spies into the army or whatnot as readily to get information out of Poland as you are Czechoslovakia. So there are modifications that can be built into it in the sense of, here we're still talking about this, in the sense of some of these types of things that can be, I presume, looked at and given special special ones of these to special nations or certain nations that resist certain things naturally. So yeah, looking at this, I think this is a great addition, but I'm not saying it's without its problems, and we will be continuing to look at that. Now I want to check out, it's what everybody's been saying while I've been sort of monologuing. It's not been a rant, but monologue in the chat. Okay, so somebody's telling Lum's dumb, or Lum is saying everyone else has done more bombers. Oh wow, there's been lots of you guys been going on, I know. Okay, 4,000 cast toy jet. Well, I don't know how much all this I'm gonna read. Hello, okay. The new update had my Chinese spies in Tokyo, but for some reason the Japanese have stopped going around like this. We're doing a democratic coup. Yeah. Things like that, like Japan would be one of those states that I would put huge natural defenses from external spies. I had 3 years of Japanese language class. I've studied Japan very closely. I'm not an expert in Japan. That's a whole status above me. But I am very knowledgeable about Japan, and I would say, in a practical sense, the only possible nation that was even remotely capable of doing spies against Japan would be the United States, because of the fairly large Japanese population here. But even that is almost a no-go situation, and because it's not just, again, genetic components that, you know, ethnicity. Hey, thanks for following. Oh, Noah's hosting now. Thanks, Arno. It's not just the, you know, genetic components, but they're huge amounts of social ties between people. So somebody applying for a government branch to work in a government office somewhere, they know who your people are. You're not just getting random people coming in. You just, everybody knows who everybody else is. Not like somebody in the north of Japan knows who somebody in the south of Japan, but you go get their residency, you know, or, you know, well, who are you? Well, I'm, you know, John Smith from this area. And it could be a specific neighborhood in Tokyo. And trust me, people would know, is this, do you know this guy? Oh, yes. Or no, we don't. Or what? And then, so just the idea of getting in random spies, and not all Asians look alike. Oh God, no. And I don't mean just as in difference between individuals, but different ethnic groups. And the idea that the Chinese could infiltrate is just ridiculous. You know, now Manchukuo, that had to be a different story entirely. So yeah, there should be some stuff like that. And I'm going to try to skim through this because you're going to keep talking at me and I will never catch up. I drowned in planes, yes. got a lot of intel from them. Yeah, I would not allow Japan to leak too much. It would be make things interesting for us. That is a really hard thing to do. Spiraling. 36 is the best year, and I don't want to necessarily go into it now. Gone into it before. You could push to 35, but a 33 start date is just not a good thing unless you are really trying to do an internal political level operation like this, spying just internally in Germany and other nations. No, it's just a 33 is not a good place to go. I think. By Horrible Nation, okay. Oh yeah, come on. Planes and how you drown them in the line. Context, yes. Yep, another can of Coke. And do propaganda well are all in the country, if that helps. Okay. Well, it was definitely in the days before they ever coined the term weeb, so I predate that. I did and do have a fascination with the samurai and some of their sort of viewpoints and ideology, shall we say. Never been a great, manga definitely, and existed particularly back then, but never been a huge. Okay, and yes. Is disenfranchised with the government, but and in Japan you have massive amounts of people disenfranchised with the government, but that's not how you get into the Japanese government as a spy. And I'm talking particularly about Japan and not other nations at this moment, because you see, if you go back and you can, especially if you're looking in like 1930 or 1933, and even 1936, you have, and I don't remember dates well, sorry people, but you have a truly democratic sort of normative government system in Japan, that the army who's dissatisfied with the government assassinates, or elements within the army assassinates, the prime minister of Japan. So you have a lot of this going on in Japan, conflict between, almost to a point, at some points, a little later than this period, well, later than 36, but before 39, right about there and there. You almost have the idea of maybe a civil war between the Japanese army and the Japanese navy. Not that it's going to like consume the nation, but the idea that there might be, sending navy crewmen, ashore to, well, there are, many of them are based on shore, but trying to do a political coup against the army and using airstrikes against army bases, just a sort of a brief thing. But there is almost zero dissatisfaction or disenfranchisement from Japanese society. That's sort of the key with Japan to this day. And so you may have the army militarist, the navy militarist, which have different goals and objectives, and then you have the navy, people that want strong navy, but they don't want a war. Most of the navy, I would say the majority of the navy is an anti-war party, but a super strong defense party. So they're militarist in the sense they want a strong, and they see, and it's naval and air primarily. They see that as the defense of Japan, because, hey, it's an island, you have enough ships, you have enough aircraft, yeah, you need an army, but you don't need to primarily look at an army. That's not the way to defend Japan. And they want super strong defenses for Japan, but they are not aggressive with their policies as into leading them to war. That is the dominant naval view, militarist view. There is elements that are aggressive. Where in the army, you see this going on, wanting to go to war on the mainland. And so you have heavily divergent views. Now, both these army militarists and these naval militarists may be wanting a very not saying do, but especially the army more do, wanting more of an authoritative government, authoritarian government. But, so they're not divided on, if you will, left-right issues, democracy versus, I don't know, is this monarchy? Because the emperor is, the emperor, but he's not running the government. No one really thinks he should, including the emperor. He's just sort of overseeing the government. And sort of that's always sort of been the tradition of Japan, even in like the Meiji Restoration, which really sort of puts the emperor back in charge instead of the shogunate. But it's not so much the emperor is running the show. He's even at sort of at the height as, and I'm not, I'm more of a student of some of the shogunate periods, but even when he's sort of coming back in and really getting back into power, because they've been sidelined for generations, he's again not like running the government. He's sort of giving direction, modernization kind of thing, if you will, giving this overall direction, and then picking the idea of, oh, you're going to be prime minister, and you've got to do a good job. You can't, it's not like a democratic situation in which, oh, well, you lose an election and you're out or something. No, it's more like, hey, if you're not doing a good enough job and there's disquiet socially, meaning disruption in society, too much, and obviously there's going to be some because you're going from a feudalistic, agrarian, non-industrialized society into industrialized society. But if you're seen to not being doing good, yeah, we're going to replace you. You're not a dictator prime minister, but so you have a constituency situation, and you can't do extraordinary measures to stay in power like a dictator might. And so you can, do a bad job and lose your position, but it's not, at least during some of the phases of it, not the idea that you're going to lose a political election and lose your job. It's more, things aren't working well, the emperor will replace you. And so, and that sort of is that a monarchy? Or, yeah, but, I don't know. But they're not, but when I'm talking about the army and the navy factions that are, and then there's still the civil government, the civil service faction within government. So there's three basic factions: the army faction, the navy faction, and there's factions within the factions, of course. And then there's sort of the civil service faction, and then there's the political, people being elected to office and that type of thing in Japan. But between the army and the navy, they both believe that there should be an emperor and all, and maybe more of an authoritarian government. But that doesn't mean they're monarchists like we would sort of say in Europe. They might want a sort of a dictatorial prime minister, shall we say. That yes, if things go too haywire, like, I don't know, losing a war or unable to successfully fight a war in China, might cause the government to collapse without even an election happening, just a no confidence overall with the Japanese people. But so, yeah, it's complicated would be the thing. So yeah, you can find a lot of disenfranchised people with the government, but that's different than disenfranchised from society. And that is where you jump over and see the Czechoslovakian example is that at its fundamental heart, the Sudeten Deutsch, were disenfranchised from the society However, what they ever thought of, and I don't know what they thought of how well the government in Prague is overall governing Czechoslovakia. I don't hear, um, and I don't read Slovak, I don't read German, I don't read Czech, and so I'm looking at other people writing about it. But I don't hear complaints of mismanagement in Prague or corruption in Prague or whatever is causing us to be dissatisfied with how well the government's working, like roads not being repaired or whatever. I don't ever hear that. It's always the complaints about the sort of central Czech, because is it Czechoslovakian, is it Czechoslovakian, because at this period it's hyphenated. They actually go from a one word to a hyphenated Czechoslovakia, as in sort of a two-word nation. It's sort of to appease these, so it's not this anymore, actually, at this stage. That it's, to my knowledge, it's never about government, it's about society. And that is where the disenfranchisement now is being seen. So I know I've stopped on this and going on another lecture mode. You're running your farm. Is he trying to catch up with all you guys? No, and I don't need to read all your joking banter back and forth. It's cool. Oh yes, it's a bit of a craziness out there. Okay, just trying to get. Yamashita gave an order to evacuate Manila, but the IJN officers and that, whether it's at the collapse of the Japanese Empire with the Americans. Yeah, hi AZ. Okay, yeah, well, yeah, and I don't, when somebody like AZ says Asian, I'm not exactly sure, is he including India in that? I definitely see some of my, compared to AZ, I'm sure it's very limited, but some of my readings of a little more direct rule in some of these places. Some of these countries by the monarchies as opposed to sort of prime ministers or ministerial rule, but yeah, definitely different. Okay, more or less caught up with this. So yeah, and again, we're still more or less examining Hearts of Iron 4, and even though I've gone off into lecture mode and several different topics, hello everyone. If I haven't said hi to you personally, I want you lecture and talk. If I haven't said hi when you've started chatting, sorry. So you have to look at the societies, and you have to look at for this intel to work. Whether we have been focusing, we're going to look now a little bit at encryption and decryption and that type of thing within this. You have natural defenses to some of this stuff. China, trust me, Japanese can keep a secret, but yeah, somebody can break into an office and steal a code book. In Korea, you have a dissatisfied group of people with their overlordship, but how well do the Koreans, and can you penetrate it? Because they're not going to trust Chinese, because Chinese, they're just thinking that Korea should be part of China. It's the enemy of our enemy is not necessarily our friend. And so and the Japanese were very well aware of, Koreans are dissatisfied. So the idea of a code book or something similar to that, yeah, you can definitely have, that there was definitely military units that had large numbers of Koreans in them. but they're not going to be trusted with much of that type of stuff. And so, yeah, cleaning staff or something could probably break into a drawer, but it's not going to be an easy thing, and even then they're still not going to have much access to a lot of that kind of information. So, now once they start setting up their puppet states, because Korea is much more of a direct rule situation, of Manchukuo and Manguko, yeah, those are penetratable, but what do they know? I think the Japanese, again, from my limited knowledge, the whole, all the Japanese cipher and message would go to a Japanese clerk, and he would decipher this stuff and then hand it off to the appropriate people in Manchukuo. I'm thinking something similar to Manchukuo sets up a commercial airline whose primary task is to sort of support military operations. So it's sort of a disguised Air Force. And now it has, at start, it has no offensive aircraft. It's more of a logistics. They're not doing paratroopers or anything like that. They're doing, Korea is just sandwiched, but yeah, between Beijing and Kyoto, Edo, absolutely. The earliest archaeological evidence for the consumption of soup dates back. This was hippopotamus soup. No. Hello, Huntman. No, the Bulgaria stayed out of, and if I'm not mistaken, Bulgaria never declares war against the Soviet Union in World War II. They declare war against the Western Allies and Greece particularly. But no, they do not go. They do not send any troops to fight in the Soviets at all. They are not part of that. And it doesn't keep the Soviets from invading Bulgaria once they can. So, so that if there's some information, so it's like, air logistics, and it's on a small scale. They eventually do get fighter aircraft, older model Japanese stuff. They're not given whatever, sensitive, any messages that wouldn't be sent, shall we say, in the clear. They're not getting, Japanese clerks with Japanese books would decipher the message and then hand it off to a Manchurian pilot or officer or whatever. Why, I don't know why Lum is on to about soup, but okay. Now that they have the mechanics into the game of this, they need to start looking country by country, case by case, where countries have divisions on ideology, like what we're thinking of modern ideologies, fascism, socialism, communism, democracies, authoritarianism, monarchism, whatever, and where a monarchist party in France will maybe help out a monarchist party in Italy just because they, sort of factions with each other. Kinds of things. Arno said soup and agree with me. So here's some soup facts. Okay, the most popular soup variety in the U.S. is chicken noodle. Yes, that would be true. Good one, Brett. I love that. Especially the no one wants to see part. Okay, so new icon here, at least with this. And so we now have cryptology, and it's now a thing. We can look here at cryptology department, radio intercept groups, cipher intercept groups. And one thing that I don't know yet, we are seeing, okay, and yes, I have played this, but not looked into this that much. Once the decryption process is initiated, it will take a while to fully decrypt the cipher, given our current decryption speed and other active decrypts. Once the enemy will give the following benefits. Okay, so I guess this has, because the radio stations used to have the idea that they are also radar, but I'm wondering, does it affect decryption? Are we, because it also had been sort of radio listening posts. as well, as just sort of a catch-all. Because I'm gathering from looking at this, we'll come back to this, that the United States is as easily to decrypt as France. I don't know that I like that. But, well, our first big opponent will be France. So we're going to start reveal intel 30 days, 440 days. Okay, you know, now I do know that we can increase our decryption capacity, but we're going to stop that. Because I don't know in 440 days we're still going to have a France. So we're going to delete that, and we're going to go with Britain instead. Oh, well now, okay, well, whoa, okay. I think they have, once the decryption. Okay, so they, because I'm presuming that they have done more encryption capabilities, and I'm gathering Okay, so Britain looks to be also not. Let's trash this. Let's see what the Soviet Union. Okay, the Soviet Union, we have where's everyone? Okay, you're going back. Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised. Latin. Good one, AZ. Yeah, Aries a bit of a farmer. Yeah, I don't know why. Well, he did tell me why Pope Innocent III, but it didn't seem like a good enough reason. After heisting in a payday. Okay. So we're going to go with Soviet intel. And we also, no, we can only do one at a time right now. Okay. Now, mentioning all this, let's radio intercept group. Government cipher. That was completed. So we're going to do cryptology level. Yeah, let's do another one of those, which will help that out. Now, we're not going to get in, I know this has gone a long time, Hungary into the faction until we do the first Vienna Award. Oh, well, no, I actually go down when we do that. Gains first Vienna. Oh, no, we're trying to... Oh, no, they're towards us, it's +5. So I know we can already get them in, but I'm going to wait for that. So let's continue our game of intel and spying and whatnot. Okay, no paid licenses of them. Okay. Okay, back to this viewpoint. First Vienna Awards, very good. Okay, well, oh, that's lost us Hungary's chance to join already? We just gave them a lot of territory there? What? Ah. Why? Why did that happen that way? Okay, don't know that. So we should have grabbed that up while we could. That was a mistake. Learn from my mistakes. Now, we're already in June, so we want to pick up the rest of Czechoslovakia. Do we have any more of this that we want to... I don't know that we do. Okay. Yes, I know, and we need to build up. Let's grab another synthetic refinery. Okay, agent captured. Uh-oh. While being deployed behind enemy lines, Alicia Banzna was apprehended by enemy British counterintelligence. Reports from other sources indicate that he is held in a remote location for interrogation. While we believe he will try to resist interrogation as long as possible, it's likely that, yeah, yes, we must rescue a Sunday. Oh, that was a nice dissolve. That was actually done very well there. Okay, so we've lost him here, captured by the United Kingdom. Okay, well, he's still doing his tech stealing situation. We can now have another recruiting operatives, 19 more days. So we don't have somebody. We do have him. In preparation. Okay, we can't. Well, it's set up to auto repeat. Okay, well, we'll see about 19 days. Now, Ari might be interested that the new DLC coming out for EU4 will make the Pope a more important figure. Okay, anti-tank upgrades, very nice. Let's get artillery. Ten more days. Government Cypher School, very good. Prepared. Okay, we're not going to automatically repeat this, but since we have it, oh, we don't have him here, so we can't commence. Huh. What should we do, chat? Should we try to rescue our agent? Yeah, maybe we need to rescue the agent with the new agent. I was thinking of trying to get Skorzeny to do the rescuing. Thought we were deciphering. Click on Soviets. Yes. Maybe I didn't click to start it. What is probably the problem? Okay. Yeah, need to actually click to start it. Okay, 100% boost. Yes, we want to do that. Rescue him. Yes. Oh, we can now get a new agent. Okay. He's a seducer. He's a tough guy. Well, let's grab him. And then let's put, operations. Capture, prepare. This guy, he's going to go in and prepare to rescue him. Advanced machine tools, very nice. Increase our production. And what do we need logistically? Well, we could use some more armored cars, that's for sure. So let's. Now that's mostly because we aren't bad. Rogue perk, amazing thing called horribly bad luck with you. Odd combo. Now we have a fair amount of the. Okay, we need to. Oh, they're starting to catch up on us, so we need to continue to pursue that. Now, create an African section, create a Middle East section. Okay, let's create a Middle East section. How goes in preparation? That's prepared, but we can't launch because he's still locked up. Now, what do you all think? Oh, what does spiraling say? Okay. Okay, well, there was, those episodes were made during a live stream on Slytherin's channel, and during those 3 days that they were sort of doing some marathon live streaming, there was a publisher's sale for Slytherin and Matrix games. That is now over. It depended on the game how much was off. They will be doing more sales in the future because I know they've done it in the past, so they will be doing so. So that's over with, the publisher sale, but was a thing. So I know you posted, but there was no. I did post links in the chat at the time on their site, but it's now over with. So actually, more people will watch it on my channel later than watched it live. So that's why I put it out also on my stuff, but do that. There, okay. Romania was entirely important for you. Oh, what is... how big was Romanian Hungarian contribution? Actually pretty big. And pretty bad. There was at least an army, meaning the idea of, multiple corps make up an army. They were ready to create an army group to put Antonescu in charge of an army group down in the Caucasus area. But that fell through with the counteroffensive around Stalingrad. And von Manstein was sort of put in charge of the reaction instead. Antonescu was the only, supposedly, according to von Manstein, the only worthwhile Romanian leader of any, military leader of any capabilities. And particularly the Romanian and the Italian contributions, failures to hold the flanks of Stalingrad is why you have the Stalingrad disaster. So fairly damn large. Slovakia provided a corps, basically, fighting on the Eastern Front. 2 to 4 divisions, and it varies at times. Because they had sort of a rapid division or rapid brigade, which is not quite an armored division, but was semi-motorized, I would say, because they may still have some bicycle troops and whatnot, but a lot of motorization in one division with some tanks, not more like a company or two of tanks, not 2 or 4 battalions of tanks, and generally older models of tanks, because they did get upgraded over time. They're sort of the smaller contribution. Hungary, yeah, probably also an army, as in a couple of corps fighting on the Eastern Front. Romania, yeah, 3-4 corps or more at any one time until the sort of collapse and then sort of the rebuild of it. They're sort of the most significant in size, but the quality of all 3 of those nations on the Eastern Front of units was not good. And that quality of troop training, quality of leadership, quality of equipment, the amount of equipment was all pretty damn bad for those nations. So just not even up to Soviet standards, let alone German standards on all of them. So numbers, yes. Quality, no. And as Azad's point, Romania's most important element was oil that was vitally needed. They could have easily had a corps coming out of Yugoslavia of Russians, both veterans of the Russian Civil War and their descendants, but Germany keeps them out for some reason, and I can understand some of the reasons, but I don't know specifically what the reasons are entirely. Something of a mystery. They keep out all the Russian emigres in Yugoslavia, and including whatever that would have volunteered from France to go fight the Bolsheviks. They keep them out of the Soviet Union, and I don't know I don't know the reason, and I've never been given a clear one. Hey, IKB. Yeah, wait for the next sale. Spiraling. There will be good sales. Pick them up when they come out, and just hang out. Be aware on the sites, and you'll find out. They'll come on sale. Trust me, I know they will be happening. I have no idea when, so but I just know it will come about. I don't know. They were not like rabidly Tsarist. I mean, they're definitely rabid Tsarist in the XL Russian community in Yugoslavia, but they weren't entirely that. But I mean, they were all rabid anti-Bolsheviks, and so I don't know if they were worried that they would conflict with, if their Tsarist principles would conflict with just other anti-Bolsheviks. If they were worried conflict, I don't know. But they keep out the anti-Bolsheviks from Yugoslavia from serving on the Eastern Front. That is a plug. Hey, James. Hey, Marcus. How you guys doing? Okay, we've got Blitzkrieg. That's a good one to get. And, well, let's look. See if there's something else more timely. Panzer IVs, maybe, but not just yet. Oh, did we get? Yeah, we got that. 39, that's there. Yeah. Let's do this. I like getting all these. And more production. Well, let's do another because I want it. Just because I want it. Another one of those. Well. Okay, we have enough in a minimum sense of everything. I mean, it's not enough like airplanes or whatnot, but enough to meet sort of immediate needs. Naval bombers, tactical bombers. Let's go with more because I like them. Naval bombers. And we need more tungsten. Okay. Sweden. Okay, we've sort of lost some there. Portugal. Let's just do 8 for the moment. Oh, Marcus Gaming. Okay, you're talking the march to Paris. Yeah, I was going to make at least 2 more episodes. I don't know that I'm going to complete because one, I don't know that I'm going to make it to take Paris. That is, and I don't know if I'm going to keep pushing with the challenge. But I will be making a few more of those episodes. I've sort of kind of learned that if I put out more than 2 videos in a day, they sort of step on each other. We got lots of scout planes. I don't know if that's enough scout planes. So, I haven't even posted any of the episodes. Oh, and let's end this episode. We're going to end this episode here. Not the live stream, everybody here. But those watching later on YouTube, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And of course, I love hearing from you. And if I'm making some mistakes in either what I'm saying or playing with the new mechanics, please let me know. I'm very open to learning. See you next time for more, yes, more Hearts of